Hey guys, Jake the Sports here. I know it's a little dark out. I was trying to get this video out earlier. Happy Veterans Day, thank you to all the veterans that serve for our country. Doing a little community service earlier today, but yeah. I have a few relatives who are veterans, so shout out to you guys. I know none of you watch this video at all. You don't watch my channel, but I just wanted to say that. I feel like a lot of these holidays, like Martin Luther King Day and there's a ton of holidays that just go unappreciated, and, everyone takes the day off without actually recognizing why we have the day off. So I just wanted to mention that. But today, this video is just going to really be a reflection on where Notre Dame's at now. We're able to talk about the big things now. How we'll perform in the ACC championship, how we should not be losing to Boston College next week, and much more today, along with talking about Brian Kelly. So this is a video I don't usually do. I usually do, videos on the day, of when a college football game is. This is a little different. I'm uploading this on Wednesday, of course. That's when Veterans Day is. And yeah, Brian Kelly, you absolutely are keeping your job. I think even when I said Brian Kelly would be on the hot seat if he lost this game, that was a little overreaction. That was a bit of an overreaction. I'm just going to be honest. But after that performance, there is no way Brian Kelly is leaving anytime soon. He's been here for a while, and he's staying for a while. This is a Notre Dame coach. I know Nick Saban coached at LSU for a little bit, but you associate Nick Saban with Alabama. You associate Dabo Swinney with Clemson. When Brian Kelly retires at the end of the day, you're gonna associate him with Notre Dame, not Cincinnati, or even if he goes to another team. You're going to associate him with Notre Dame. He was the Notre Dame coach. That's where he is going to be the longest, because he's not coaching another 10 or so years. He'll probably, I don't know how much longer he's coaching, but I know he's staying at Notre Dame. That's all I'm saying. Brian Kelly came out. He did things I didn't expect him to do. He made big calls. He prepped up Ian Book, and he was ready for this game. I mean, Ukulele, a lot of Notre Dame fans I'm seeing, which I totally agree with, and a lot of other college football fans are saying, Ukulele threw for 439 yards against Notre Dame. How much more, and that's the most anyone's ever thrown against Notre Dame. How much more is Trevor Lawrence going to throw against Notre Dame? Because at that point, Trevor Lawrence isn't even making a much bigger of an impact. Ukulele played out of his mind. I said that. He played out of his mind. The kid went off. He's a 5-star. That's what you'd expect. A 5-star quarterback, those are the cream of the crop. He's really, really good. And that's what people don't understand. Any other college football fan that doesn't actually look in depth would say, so who's this random backup quarterback? Who's this guy? He's probably like a senior who transferred from another school, who's not good, who's not recruited highly. That's just not the case. This is a young guy who, at the end of the day, I think without a doubt, once Trevor Lawrence is gone, this is going to be the Clemson starter. Without a doubt in my mind. He played amazing. 439 yards. Just think about that. That's really, really good. So how much more could Trevor Lawrence do? Is he going to throw for 539 yards? Is he going to throw for even more than that? I don't see it. All these people are saying, Clemson, when they play in the ACC championship, Clemson, it's really hard to beat a team twice, and I get that. I really do get that. And Clemson's going to have a lot of players back. But Notre Dame made a lot of mistakes in that game. They still made mistakes, and they're going to fix that up, and they're going to be even better. Now, I know Clemson's going to made mistakes big time. I mean, that's how they lost, and they're going to fix those too. So I think we could see an ACC championship, which is even better than the last game we saw. And that's going to be really hard to do. Really hard. But yeah, Brian Kelly, you're keeping your job. Ian Book, I mean, he looked like a Heisman contender. Is he? Probably not. I mean, unless he plays out of his mind as well. You got to keep in mind that the Heisman, I'm 99% sure, is before the college football playoff. So that's going to, Ian Book doesn't have many opportunities left. And I think he's just been too inconsistent. I'd say he's a dark horse finalist. I think he could make it to the Heisman ceremony, but he's not winning. At this point, my pick is Justin Fields. I mean, he's played amazing. He's on one of the best teams in the country, and he hasn't been out with COVID. So that's another thing. Trevor Lawrence, that's your own fault, buddy. You were the one who got COVID, whether you were hanging out with some Dumbo or whatever. You were the one who got COVID. You were not safe enough. So I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence, but you missed the game, and Notre Dame just beat you. So, yeah. But, what else was I going to talk about? Yeah, I mean, just Notre Dame, their defense is going to be fixed. I think they're going to play even better down the road. And, this is a bit of a Boston College preview, but this video is all over the place. Notre Dame, this is the biggest win we've had in a long time. In a long time. A really long time. I mean, yeah, people are going back to their last number 1 win against Florida State. We came back the next week against Boston College, and we lost. So that has to be instilled in a lot of Notre Dame fans' minds. This Boston College game. And Notre Dame to me is one of those teams. They're obviously a very physical team. They showed that they can be as physical as any other team in the country. And they're just a classic team. And what I mean by that is their team, they don't have swagger. They don't get fazed by being on top. They just come out week in and week out, grind out wins. They just grind out wins. And I have a feeling they're going to do that against Boston College. Brian Kelly's a very experienced head coach. He really hasn't been in this position. Keep in mind, we're not number 1 in the country. We're not number 1. We're very close to number 1, and we're really up there in the rankings. I believe this is our highest ranking since probably 2017. I think we were number 2 at some point in 2017. Maybe. 2 or 3. Obviously, we were the 3 seed for the college football playoff. But we're getting up there. We're only behind Bama at this point. And I can guarantee you this, Notre Dame fan. Unless Ohio State if they look like insane, maybe you'll drop back. But if Notre Dame wins the rest of their games, they're not dropping below 3. And I think Brian Kelly just has to say to the boys, just get the win. Get it done. We know we can beat Clemson, but we beat Clemson last week. We know we can beat pretty much any team in the country if we try hard enough and get ready and get prepped enough. So just do what we've been doing every week. Get a good win. And do it in convincing fashion. Look like you're the number 2 team in the country and move on. That's what we got to do. And I was looking at this ESPN article, which I thought, I usually hate the ESPN reporters because they hate on the Buffalo Bills as well, who are my team. And they don't like Notre Dame. I mean, they don't love Notre Dame. They just don't. I mean, I can tell. But I think it was very true what they said. They said that Notre Dame's biggest challenge left, besides Clemson in that ACC championship game, is the road games. We got a ton of road games coming up. Wake Forest on the road. BC on the road. I think we got Syracuse at home. And I think we even might have North Carolina on the road. North Carolina's lost to the 2 worst teams they played. But that's going to be an interesting game against North Carolina. That really is. But I think the most dangerous game we have left, excluding the ACC championship, assuming we get there, is Boston College this week. Notre Dame, you just can't be cocky. And again, I don't see Notre Dame as this cocky team. I see them as a team who gets it done every single week. And I see Ian Book as a guy who gets it done every single week. You know, it's very hard to come off a win like that and be very excited and hyped and come back the next week and get another win. It's a lot harder than it looks. I get it, Notre Dame. You got a program-defining win. And whether we could lose every single other game this year and recruiting will still go up. It'll still be really good. And I can guarantee you we're going to get a few 5-stars in the 2022 class just because of that game. We beat the number, we could say we beat the number one team in the country in 2020. You know, we beat Clemson. One of, if not the most consistent team in the past 5 years. Beside Alabama or tied with Alabama. I don't know, whatever the heck you want to do. Either of those teams. But this is not over. At this point, the expectation for Notre Dame fans is to make the playoff and make a really good run after what we did against the number one team in the country. You know, and a lot of people are still hating on us, but we got the win. So, Notre Dame controls their own destiny. They win out. They're not getting lower than 3. I can guarantee I will debate any other person in the country, in this United States, or in the frickin' world, actually, that Notre Dame will not drop below 3 if they win the rest of their games. It's not going to happen. We'll have the head-to-head record over Clemson twice, assuming, we'll play Clemson in the ACC championship if we win our games the rest of this regular season. And boom. Well, we're not dropping below 3. We're just not. It's not going to happen. And, Notre Dame controls their own destiny. I don't see them as a cocky team. I've said this over and over. You just got to get the win against BC. And I think that first win this week, is going to be the hardest one. Like I said, the rest of the regular season. I think you'll get used to things as we go on. But you got quite a few road trips, Notre Dame. Don't look ahead to the ACC championship, Notre Dame. Just don't do it. It's not going to be good. I know, obviously, Brian Kelly's going to be working on the mistakes he made against Clemson. But it's not like you're not playing anyone. You still have games to play. We're still only 7-0, or it's 8-0, whatever we are. I think we are 7-0, or 7 or 6-0, somewhere around there. You know, we barely have played over 50% of our games. Barely. There's a lot of football left to be played, Brian Kelly. And again, I think Notre Dame knows this. I don't see Notre Dame as this cocky team like North Carolina or Miami who goes out after they get a big win or a big loss and just don't perform up to expectation and lose. Miami has fixed that this year. North Carolina, they're just a hype team who, they're just not that great. And I was irate when we lost to Miami in 2017. I would love to play Miami. And all the Miami fans are really mad at us because we beat Clemson, and that means they're not going to the ACC championship. And that's just amazing. That's my dream world, but it's not done yet. Our work's not done. It's not. We by no means have a spot in the college football playoff. And don't even talk to me about, if Notre Dame loses, they'll still get a spot in the playoffs. That's a possibility. But you don't want to bank on that. I don't want to lose. Notre Dame should not be trying in the ACC championship. And again, I don't think they will. Notre Dame does not come off to me as a cocky team who gets super hyped after a big win and just doesn't focus on the rest of their games. I have faith in you now, Notre Dame. You got big expectations now, Notre Dame, after that big win against Clemson. So I have faith in you, and I think we can pull out the wins we need to the rest of this season. Regular season, that is. We'll get into the ACC championship when it comes. But again, Notre Dame, I'll probably make a halftime report and a final score report for the BC game, and I don't want to come on there and just start flipping out because we lost to BC. We lost to BC after a big game once. We can't have it happen again. Thank you, guys. This is Jake the Sports signing off. It's getting dark out here. Go Irish, baby!